Good morning. Today we'll be dealing with Metaphysical School of Poetry. So before moving into that, let me tell you what it means, the word metaphysical, what it means. If you have ever read this particular concept in your graduate level or at your postgraduate level, try to begin this concept fresh with me. Then only you will be able to grasp everything. Fine. So let's begin from the very beginning, from the very scratch. Let's take the word metaphysical first. Metaphysical. This word can be divided into two words further. Fine. And this particular word meta has got its root in Greek language. So the word meta in Greek means above and beyond, and physical means reality. So what do you think? What are things that are beyond reality? The very first thing that comes in our mind is God. Yes, these people who were writing under this particular group, that is Metaphysical School of Poetry, they started questioning anything and everything that was beyond reality. Fine, and God was one thing, and there are many things that we'll read further. So metaphysicals were asking these sort of questions. Now you must be thinking that who coined the term for the very first time? So yes, William Drummond was the person who coined the term metaphysical for the very first time. And you will say if William Drummond must have coined the term, then he must be the person who used the term. No, it's not that. He coined the term and Dryden was the person who used the term later. When these people, these metaphysicals were writing, they never knew that we are metaphysicals. Can you understand this thing? Suppose we and you are living in this present age and we don't know that after 100 years, a person will come and will tell that people who were born 100 years earlier, they are termed into this group. कुछ समझ में आ रहा है? देखो. Suppose there are 10 kids, ठीक है? And they all are writing similar writings. ठीक है? सब जो भी लिख रहे हैं लोग, they are writing similar writing. But they don't know, उनको पता नहीं है कि जो ये लिख रहे हैं, इसको क्या बोला जाएगा आज से 15, 20 या 100 साल बाद. This is what Dryden did. So these people didn't know that what they would be called after 100 years. तो इनको भी पता ही नहीं है. After 50 years, this person, Dryden, came and he wrote a particular work that is Life of Eminent Poets. Here he included Donne and Andrew Marvell as well. And here he wrote that what these people were writing, you know, this particular word when he used, Dryden used this particular word, let me tell you exactly what he wrote. Yes, Dryden was the first to use the term when he criticized Donne. Dryden पहला इंसान था use करने के लिए term जब उसने criticize किया किसको? Donne को criticize किया. Who is Donne? Donne is metaphysical writer. Who is Dryden? He is not a metaphysical writer. He is a new classical writer who came after 50 years. So Donne in 1693, he wrote a work. कौन सा work लिखा था? I've already told you, that is Life of Eminent Poets. Here he wrote, he affects the metaphysics. He means Donne here. Who wrote this work? Dryden. What he said? He affects the metaphysics. In his amorous verses, I'll tell you everything. Let me read this thing to you first. Where nature only should reign and perplexes the minds of the fair sex with nice speculations of philosophy, when he should engage their hearts. बोलना क्या चाहते हो? बोलना ये चाहते हैं. These people, Dryden said that Donne was writing, whatever he was writing and whatever his contemporaries were writing, they were writing philosophical things. कुछ भी लेके philosophical चीजें लिख रहे थे. This was the time when they should have written something that should have triggered the heart of the people. कुछ समझ में आए, कुछ दिल में उतरे, ऐसा लिखना चाहिए. And they were playing with the minds of people. This is what Dryden wrote. And Dryden didn't use this term to appreciate them. He used this term metaphysical as a derogatory term. उनको criticize करने के लिए, abuse करने के लिए उसने use किया था Dryden ने ये चीज. ठीक है? So this is what Dryden wrote. And you know one more thing, that in 17th century, media was not that popular. Media, in nowadays, it's really very important and it is considered to be the fourth pillar of democracy. But at that time, media was not popular. So the normal or the ordinary readers could not rely on anything and everything. So the critics like Dryden, readers today what we are doing, the watchers, the viewers rather, what we do, we rely on media. Media ने बोला कि अभिषेक बच्चन अब अच्छा कर रहा है, we rely on that. उन्होंने बोला पहले अच्छा नहीं कर रहा था, we rely on that. Same thing was done 300 years back when Ryden said कि जो लिख रहे हैं ना metaphysicals, it is of no use, don't read them, and they just kept on criticizing these people. Ben Jonson said that Donne will one day perish. एक दिन ना Donne खत्म हो जाएगा, nobody will read him. But do you think it really happened? Not at all. The credit goes to, can you name one important modern writer who should be given the credit of familiarizing these people, that is metaphysical people? If we think about any random modern writer, the very first name that pops in our mind is of T.S. Eliot. So yes, he is the person who really appreciated these people. And what he said, Eliot singles out what is generally termed the metaphysical conceit or concept, which he defines as the elaboration contrasted with the condensation of the figure of speech to the farthest stage to which ingenuity can carry it. Matlab, this particular person, T.S. Eliot, he in one of his poetry, what he wrote and what he did, even he compared sky to a person who is lying on the table atherized. So this was the person Eliot, this is what he was doing. तो definitely ये तो होना ही था कि अगर Eliot ऐसा comparison कर रहा है तो he must be the person who could have appreciated these people. तो उसने क्या किया? What he said कि जो conceit है ना, metaphysical conceit. अब conceit क्या है? Simile we all know. When we compare two things by using like and as, ये होती है simile. Metaphor क्या होता है? When we have a direct comparison without using like and as. Now what is conceit? Conceit is again a comparison. अगर फिर भी comparison है तो metaphor और simile में क्या difference है और conceit में क्या difference है? Conceit is a far-fetched comparison. Far-fetched मतलब ऐसी चीजें जो हम लोग normally सोच भी नहीं सकते. Something very extraordinary, something very different, something beyond physical realms. So yes, conceit is comparison of two things that is beyond the realms of reality. So this is what he did. उसने बोला, Eliot ने क्या कहा कि metaphysical conceit और जो concept है ना, वो क्या है? What it actually means? वो elaboration है, किसी चीज को define करने का तरीका है. किस चीज को? और figure of speech, the farthest stage of which ingenuity can carry it. जितनी आपकी imagination carry कर सकती है ना, उतनी imagination को carry करो और दो चीजों को लाके compare करो. And this is how he really appreciated Donne and his contemporaries as well. So he wrote this particular thing in his essay, that is Metaphysical Poets, in 1971. And he didn't write the essay completely. What he did, he revised the essay that was written by Herbert. You can check the facts again and you can write it down. Even you can write it down, but still, I want you to Google the things again. And if you'll Google it, you will find many more things related to it. So yes, he wrote this thing in the particular essay that is Metaphysical Poets, and that was written in 1971. And that was a revised version of what Herbert wrote under a different title. So this is what Eliot did. And yes, the complete credit goes to this person for making these people popular amongst the reader. So yes, the complete credit goes to Eliot. You know why Eliot was the person who really appreciated them? Because he was like those people. You know what he was writing? He compared, as I told you, he compared the sky with a patient who was lying on the table atherized. So he had this sort of comparison. Let me give you an example from John Donne poetry, that is Sun Rising. He said, busy old fool, unruly sun, why dost thou thus? This is how he wrote. And how Shakespeare was writing? Shall I compare thee to a lovely day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. This is how Shakespeare was writing. This is how Donne was writing. Another very beautiful imagery, and we can say a very beautiful comparison that he did was, oh my America, my newfound land. This is how he addressed his beloved. So these are the examples. Once you will start reading the poetry, the metaphysical poetry, definitely you will fall in love with this poetry. Let me give you another example of this particular thing that is written by George Herbert. You know this person, John Donne, was called to be the modernist. You will be astonished. Why modernist? Modernist writers are who? Are those writers who have written in 20th century, 21st century? No. He was called one of the modernist writers. Anybody can be a modernist writer when they write something, when they challenge the existing norms of society. And he was the person who wrote like that. He challenged the society. And one more beautiful trivia, that whatever they wrote was not published, was not directly published. They wrote in manuscripts, and the elite or the intellectual class were the readers of these metaphysical writers. So yes, this is how the thing started. Donne here wrote a sonnet, and he purposely changed the rhyme scheme of the poet, of this particular poem. He changed the rhyme scheme. When you will start reading the Shakespearean sonnet or the Petrarchan sonnet or the Spenserian sonnet, you will come across the rhyme scheme of the sonnets. And then you will realize that yes, whatever he did was purposely done by him. Just see the rhyme scheme of this, enemy and I. Do you think it has got a proper rhyme scheme, enemy and I? Read this. Bend and end, yes. New, due. Bend, end, yes, exact rhyme scheme. Enemy, I. So what do you think? Donne well short of vocabulary. He didn't have the correct words to use? No, it was not that. He purposely did this. उसने अपना जान करके ये सब किया था, because he wanted to prove that yes, whatever we are writing, we will write in a different way. He had this revolutionary spirit in him, and his contemporary had the same. So yes, this is one of the poetry written by him, and it has got a different rhyme scheme. So this is the poem that has been written by George Herbert, named Easter Wings. So can you see anything different except that it has been rotated? Anything except than that? If not, then let me tell you. Emblem book poetry. This was a form that was familiar amongst the people, maybe back 100 years, and people were writing like that. So emblem book poetry, what was there? They used to write in such a way that whatever they were writing, it had a visual impact as well. Means this particular person, George Herbert, wrote this poem, Easter Wings, and you can see that he has made or wrote this poem in such a way that it appears like wing. Can't you see that? I hope you all can see that. So it appears like wing. Yes. So this is how he wrote. Another poem written by him is Altar. If you will search, you will come to know even that is written in such a way that it appears like altar. So Easter Wing, the main reason for him to write this poem in this way, I've already told you. So these were the prominent writers of metaphysical age. We have many writers in this particular age, and we have many more to discuss about it. This is what we can say is just the introductory part of metaphysical poetry. If you have to go into the depth of the poets and the poems as well, we'll read the poems and we'll discuss them in the class. What is the meaning, the proper analysis of those poems, and we'll do everything with it. And we'll do justice with the poetries as well. But this was enough for the introductory part. I hope now you know what metaphysical poetry means and who were the writers. If you didn't get the complete list of writers, you can write it down. I can tell you. Andrew Marble was there, George Herbert was there, John Donne, the prominent figure, definitely he was there, Richard Crashaw was there, John Denham was there, and there were few other writers as well. So we'll discuss them in the later class. For this class, this was enough. Thank you and have a nice day.